Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power. You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel.
BS3 Network. You are now tuned to BS3 Network, changing the way you listen to podcasts.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Information
Tell the truth.
is power. Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Please make sure to subscribe to this channel.
What's up, everybody?
Information is power.
What's up, everybody? Let me know if you can hear me. If the sound is appropriate, I need to know. Let me double check some things. I'm glad to see everybody coming into the chat room. Let me bring up my volume just a little bit more here. Hopefully, you all can hear me. Let me double check some things in the soundboard and make sure that audio is where it needs to be. Boom. That's a lot better. Let me know if you can hear me by hitting a 7 in the chat room. I appreciate everybody out here watching the program. I hope everybody had a very safe, happy new year. That's right. This is the year 2023. And I'm very glad that everybody that is here today. I hope that you and your family have the most powerful, the most enlightening, the most influential year. I hope that you have great fortune, financial fortune. Mental health is very important, as I've talked about that in the last time I was live, that our mental health, make sure that you deal with your physical health, as we know that people are been passing away. We have seen people on YouTube that have passed away. We've seen people in our own personal lives that we have lost this year. And I'm going to say right again, it is very important that we check both our mental and our physical health. And to the men out there, you've got to get yourself checked up. There's no sense of getting up here on the YouTube streets and talking about how you're so high value and you haven't dealt with your health issues. That's very important. That comes first. Without that, you've got nothing. So as we know, it is the year 2023. I'm already getting ready for 2026, y'all. But 2023. And I have a guest on with me, Brother Freeman Media. We're going to go over principles. Now, I have some things that I want to talk about myself in terms of what principles mean. And let me just go in here real quick before I bring the brother on. And for this 2023, I want to go into some areas right here, which is principles. Principles, a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of beliefs or behavioral or for a chain of reasoning. These are general terms. A general or basic truth on which other truths or theories can be based. Scientific principles, a rule of conduct, a person, high principles. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this show, and I brought Freeman on, because we're going to break down some of the things in the Kwanzaa principles. And the question is, are we living up to those principles? Are those principles outdated? Should they be revised? Are they a little too elusive? What have we done as Black people right now? What are we going to do going into the year 2023? Are we going to set up here on YouTube for a whole nother year talking about the same stuff that we talked about last year, such as this gender war? Are we going to continue to keep talking about what's wrong with black men, what's wrong with black women, and take the minimum of people who are not making us look good and make them the maximum of who we are? Are we going to continue that damn conversation into the year 2023? Are we going to learn from our mistakes from 2022? What are we going to do? Reparations. How dedicated are we to the principles that reparations are important for us to be trying to strive for? Do we want to spend our time wasting our time in circles around black people who are anti-reparations? Should you even waste your time debating them, being on their panels, even talking to them? And then you have to ask yourself, if they don't believe in reparations, why are they so concerned about black people who want to be concerned with reparations? Cooperative economics. We're going to get into that with brother Freeman tonight. Cooperative economics. Are we being cooperative with sharing with each other in terms of support economically? Are we supporting black businesses? Do you plan to do that in the year 2023? What are we planning to do? I'm telling you right now, the things that we're talking about on the YouTube streets, we got to be a little bit different. We got to come with something new, something fresh, something that inspires our people. We got to come with, what am I going to do when I look at myself in the mirror? What's the sense of every year talking about Happy Kwanzaa if we don't even follow any of the damn principles that's in Kwanzaa? Now, I know that Kwanzaa was created, it's something that was created by Dr. Karinga, and I know there's issues with him. There's a lot of issues with him. But I'm not talking about the man right now. I'm talking about those principles that were written. Are we living out those principles, whether it be on social media or off of social media? What are we prepared to do for the year 2023? It's not enough just to say Happy New Year, but what we really should be saying is, what are you going to do this year? Are we simply going to bring in all the BS and trash from last year and the year after that? I can go around YouTube right now and I see people talking about the same stuff that I saw them talking about when I first got on these YouTube streets. The conversation hasn't changed. The narrative hasn't changed. We spend more time beating one another, black men, black women, than we do truly saying, what can we do to help one another? What can I do to be a better father, a better man? What can you do to be a better wife, a better woman? What can I do to improve my career, improve the amount of money that I make this year? And how can I pass that over and give that to another brother or sister? How can I, as I rise up, do I reach down, as you saw in the famous picture, and pull another black man or black woman up? How long are we going to continue downtrodding ourselves on these YouTube streets? How long are we going to do that? How long are we going to follow principles in Kwanzaa that either we don't follow, or they don't mean anything anymore, or the principles themselves have flaws in them? We're going to talk about that today. We're going to break some things down. If there is time to bring people up for a panel discussion, we'll do that if there is time. But I just wanted to lay that all out because we're in a new year now. And I feel like when you go into a new year, you shouldn't bring the garbage and the trash from the following year into a new year. We got to have a new way of thinking, a new way of moving. We should be improving ourselves and not going backwards. I want to thank folks that have come over in the chat room. I see the Empress Goddess is in the house. I see Freeman Media inside the chat room. Alexis Davis is in the house here. Sister 78, Viet is in the house. Keith Weston is here. What We Know podcast is here. Rankin is here. Thank you for being here. And we'll see how it goes. This is not a topic today that I think is going to be sexy, that will bring a lot of people over, because it's not a sexy topic. Now, I was thinking about doing a topic around, what's his name? Akon. I know some people are thinking that, some people are saying, oh, Akon was right. Let me tell you something. Akon got his style and everything that he did in music from Black Americans. So when he sits up there and say that black people, what black people is he talking about? Because as far as I'm concerned, most of the greatest performers come from are Black Americans. Other people emulate what we're doing. We don't emulate what they are doing. They emulate us. They emulate the freemen. We are being emulated. He came over here to America and made his money singing and moving. Now, while he sat up there talking about those rappers looking like they're half asleep and half tired with the pants down, wait a minute, these are the same rappers that Akon had in his musical videos that blew him up in the first place. If you look at all of his videos, he admitted that most of my videos, people associate me with rap music, because he had rappers, the same rappers that he's talking about, he had in his music, and he made a lot of money off of it. And before he starts talking about Black Americans, how about you go over to Africa and get the damn Chinese out of your country? How about some of your countries over there control your own resources, because you don't control your own resources? And if you got all that talent, why wasn't you able to blow up in your own country? Why'd you have to come to America to blow up? Don't tell me. I saw some of your messages. Oh, Akon was correct. No, he wasn't. He disrespected Black performers. Now, if he's talking about those rappers that are acting silly, if he's talking about them, okay. But yet, those are the same rappers that he had in his music that blew him up in the first place. So Akon is a hypocrite. He made his money copying off of Black acts. Black people in America, we don't copy off of other people. They copy off of us. We're the damn trendsetters. You best to believe that. If you don't know that, you better ask somebody. So let's get on with the show, and let me bring in Brother Freeman. Brother, I had to give that statement because I saw a lot of nonsense. People talking about, oh, Akon is telling the truth. No, Akon made money off the very rappers that he was talking about in his music videos that blew his ass up. So while you disrespect them, you forget who plate you ate off of. Now, Freeman,
yes, sir.
You heard some of the things I said in the opening of this program. I want to thank everybody that's came through. We got Kimberly, a lot of great people in the chat room, which I really appreciate them coming over and spending the time with us. We're going to talk about a variety of things. We had a conversation the other day where we talked about reparations and how we should stay away from Negroes in particular who are on these YouTube streets, that are on these social medias, telling Black people that we shouldn't worry about reparations. Then you got Umar Johnson crying about how we shouldn't be worrying about reparations. Yet Umar Johnson runs around screaming and moaning to Black people about give them a give me some money, give me some Cash App, give me some PayPal. Dummy, if Black people got reparations, that means more money for your PayPal, fool, and maybe your damn school would be open. See, this is what's dumb about it. We can't afford to waste our time with people who are getting in, trying to tell us what we should not be trying to get. Just, and then when you look at people that are Pan-African, we said this the other day. Everybody has an agenda. The Pan-Africans don't want us to focus on reparations because they want us to focus on Africa. That Africa is going to be a place where everything's going to be sweet and honey, and we just going to be well over there. Look, man, you got thousands of matter of fact, just a year ago, you had thousands of African young men trying to leave Africa on rafts going over to Italy. And in Italy, I think, or Spain, turned them around and sent them right back. So while we're telling Black Americans we need to move to Africa, then you need to answer this question. Why are Africans leaving Africa?
Right.
So while we're being told to go there, they keep trying to come over here. And when they do come over here, they go to our schools, right? All sorts of things. And it's not about hating, it's about what's the truth. And then, so we're going to touch on that today. You know as well as I know that we got a lot of gender war bullshit going on these YouTube streets, these social media streets. We have all types of nonsense that is holding black people back from real things. We have too many distractions. Kanye West was a complete distraction. The nonsense that he was talking about, why he disrespects Rosa Parks, the so-called free thinker, ladies and gentlemen. We have so many distractions. And are we going to bring these same distractions into 2023? And then we have people that will say, well, I don't celebrate Kwanzaa. Well, Kwanzaa is not a religion. Kwanzaa is based on principles, right? It's something that was created by black Americans here, yes. But then there's the principles. When you look at them at first glance, Freeman, they make sense, but then they don't make sense. And then at the same time, why are black people celebrating something like this if we're not even willing to invoke those principles into real life by doing it not only in our real life, but the way we treat ourselves on social media? So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I see Deborah Guns in here. She says she's so not interested in Akon. I hear you. We got social justice here. We got back to the basics saying, I think Akon enjoys the negative attention to keep himself relevant. Well, he's irrelevant. And see, this is the thing. I don't want to make this about Akon, but while he's shitting on black people, he's asking black people to invest in his city dream in Africa. You crap on us, call us the N-word, but yet you want us to give you money to build your African dreamland or city. Come on, man. We got Tony D in the house here. We got Last Call in the house here, which I appreciate him. We got the real Aaron Collins, and hopefully we'll be able to have a panel today. So Freeman, you take it away from there, brother, and give us your position on principles. This is 2023. What principles are black people going to display going into this year? What is important? And let's break down these Kwanzaa principles because there's a lot to dig into.
Well, first, I want to say Happy New Year. I've said it a couple of times in the chat, but I want to say Happy New Year to everybody that's in the chat and everybody that'll catch the playback. I left a lot of people in 22, brother. I really did. I had to. I've said many a times that had I just stayed on the course that I know I should have been on and never allowed myself to go backwards with this casting thing, I'd be in a whole different space. But I'm not one to sit around and cry and concern myself about woulda, couldas. I move forward, and you know where I'm at now. I've already had a live stream today, and I had promised you that I was coming up today to talk about the principles of Kwanzaa. You were in that chat when I broke it down on my own stream, and I'm going to do it just the same, a little bit more expeditiously. I don't want to take all the time that I took up on my own stream, but I want to I call it a scam because people don't really understand the background of it that Ron Everett put in play. And I call him Ron Everett,
right?
I'm sorry?
That's the real name of Dr. Karinga.
That is his real name. I don't call him that African shit. I call him what his mama. If mama call him Clay, I'm gonna call him Clay. So, you know, the way I look at him is, you know, and here's the thing. He may have done some things in blackdom on a positive end, but when I found out how Kwanzaa came about and the way he positioned it, and then there was really no follow-up. And that wasn't necessarily on him. There wasn't any follow-up with Black America. And we've had plenty of Black leaders that have come along since 1966, since Kwanzaa has been put in play, to where things could have been updated. I mean, you cannot stay the same. Principles in 1966 versus principles today, they are obsolete. We talked a little bit a couple days ago about this book here. This book here, Powernomics is a great book.
Put that back up again. Put that book back up again.
Yes, sir. Powernomics.
Powernomics. That's right.
Dr. Claude's book is a great reference tool for somebody who is looking to be in business from an American freedman perspective. But it's out of date based on today's standards. And one of the things that people don't really think about is when Dr. Claude wrote those books and the mindset that he was in, truly, it's totally opposite of where he's at now. If you hear Dr. Claude talk now, he's not on the flip side, but he grew tired because he basically got ran out of places trying to uplift Black America. So,
well, one of the places that he got ran out of, ladies and gentlemen, was Detroit.
And you know where I'm at.
And the reason, and this is the thing, I want everybody to know this. This is why we're talking about this today. Are we living up to those true principles where it talks about collective economics? And we're going to run through these principles. Guess what happened? It wasn't white people who ran him out of Detroit. It wasn't white supremacy, as we would call it sometimes. It was Black people who ran Claude Anderson out of Detroit when he wanted to create a Black town. You got a Chinese town, a Japanese town, you got a Mexican town, you got all these other towns all over the country. And he tried to bring something in a place where you think it would be accepted, and those Black folks, or what I would call the raccoons, ran him out of town.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Freeman Media.
Absolutely. And it was an unfortunate time because we needed that. We needed him and we needed others to back him. And they didn't do that. But they also turned their backs on Kwame Kilpatrick in the city of Detroit. And they've turned their back on other Black leaders, throughout the country. Detroit's not the only, situation where powerful, I'm talking about real powerful Black leaders have basically been silenced, due to the milquetoast fare of Black America. And it's unfortunate. It really is, because we get so henpecked into a lot of different things, and we get to believe in one thing where once we do find out the truth, it's just too late. And with Kwanzaa, I didn't know the research. Let me tell you, honestly, I've said Happy Kwanzaa before. I've never practiced it as far as the 7 principles, 7 symbols. I've never done that. My family never did that. But I've said Happy Kwanzaa many a times throughout the years just to follow suit. But the main thing was when I broke down, I'm all about the words, and you know this, when I broke down the definitions of what Kwanzaa meant with its principles and with its core symbols, we don't live that as a collective in Black America. And this wasn't meant for just a certain faction of people. It wasn't meant just for Pan-Africanists. It wasn't meant for the conscious community. It wasn't meant for Christians. It was meant for all of Black America. And if all of Black America had got behind it and kept updating it as we went, some 57 years in now, I think we would be actually way more unified. But we can't just use Kwanzaa as a 7-day thing. Kwanzaa needs to be practiced 365 days a year. But that's a whole nother situation. What I want to talk about is this had to do with somebody that basically said, no, I don't want my people celebrating Christmas, so we're going to give them something to celebrate the day after Christmas for 7 days, built some principles behind it. And as you know, like I said, I broke all those things down and will do tonight, but it was not something that moved forward. And where it was in 1966 and where it made us feel good back then, well, before I was in, here, I wasn't born until 1970, but I can imagine how those people felt when they got Kwanzaa in their lap. And they said, oh, man, we've got something to celebrate, and it's not just one day, it probably kind of mirrored like a Hanukkah, or what's the other holiday where there's several days, that are intact with it. But what it was a lot of word salad. I mean, we're going to break it down, and I'm going to show you basically how simplified it was, because I'm not shitting on the idea. I will never shit on the idea. But once we get to the end, I'm going to shit on the ideology. And that was by Ronald Everett. And
let's just say this, the ideology, we have to keep in mind there was a particular man, as you named his real name, who came up with these principles, and he has been under a lot of shady, because remember, in Los Angeles, there was a very well-known black member of the Black Panther Party. When they had a meeting with the Move, I think it was called the Up group or something? The Us group?
Yep.
And something happened to this Black Panther, this member of the Black Panther who lived in Los Angeles. He was do you remember his name? Does anybody in the chat room? Because his name, something happens where he ended up dead. And a lot of people in the Black Panther movement down in LA sort of pointed the finger at the man who come up with these principles, right? Mm-hmm. Karinga or Ron, whatever the hell, name he goes by.
Sure.
So there was a lot of controversy. Then there's been people who have put out there that they believe that he might have even been an agent. And you know what I mean by that. Everybody knows what I mean by that. Could he have been an agent? Because we've had agent provocateurs, people that have been put in our community, and they come off like they are a leader, and the whole time it's an operation of psyops. We know that when Malcolm X was killed the way he was, the man that he had, one of the men that he had as a security, ended up being an undercover cop.
Absolutely.
Or agent.
Absolutely.
And he sat up there and act like he cared about Malcolm X by trying to give him mouth to mouth when the man was dead, and that was the whole trick basket behind it. So go right ahead, brother. Go right ahead.
No, so that's basically, I mean, in a nutshell, I just found it to be not only hypocritical, but I felt like he played, and I won't say a cruel joke. I think that the initial meaning of it may have had some type of positive fare to it. But when I found out what he actually had said about the holiday in itself, and this is some 12, 13 years later, I was a little bit put upon by what he said. And I will carry that because a man says what he means and he means what he says. Right. I can't fault a man for being misunderstood or being misinterpreted. I'm that all the time. But when you actually say it, when you actually say something to someone and you say it to the point in such a jokingly manner, I'm going to take you at your word. And like I said, by now there were all types of different things. And like you said, he was told to be an op, some type of informant, and I don't speak on the man. I don't speak on his convictions and his allegations. That's not what this is about. I mean, because if he did do those things and he came out and tried to do something positive, I at least can commend him for trying to change his life. But when you do something that is adverse to the collective, I'm going to speak on that more than just speak on what you might have done, as many of us have done as far as committing crimes and whatnot. If he had cleaned up himself and put some things in order, okay, he did that. But the reason why he said he did it was a problem. That's it. But I don't want to keep giving it away. We put in the shark before the horse, and I'm trying to I've got a couple people that want to ask me questions that are totally irrelevant about whether I celebrate Christmas. Look, we had a Christmas tree. Is that what you're asking me? And I got kids and I got grandkids and we exchange gifts and all that. Is that what you're saying? So people that ask questions like that in a chat, it's funny because I do catch stuff like that and I screenshot it so I can come back. I'm just that way. I caught it. I just wasn't gonna say nothing. But let me get to cooking because I think that person's name is Shaka. So whoever Shaka is, hopefully Shaka, you can understand everything that I'm going to state and my reasonings for stating it. And you just not trying to troll me because I'm unbothered. I'm damn near 53 years old. I'm unbothered. You can't rock this boat. So absolutely, in my family, we do things here from the Christmas perspective. But truthfully, I don't celebrate shit.
Well, let me just say,
my family.
Let me say this to get back to this area, though, because Real Aaron Collins and I think someone else also put in here, it was Bunchy Carter and John Hodges who were both killed by Karinga, allegedly killed in his Us movement. So that's what I was trying to explain. Another thing, look, I know that people are going to celebrate Christmas. Some people are going to celebrate other things that they don't. And some people are not going to celebrate things because they don't believe in it. And everybody has the right to do what they want to do.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, this is the equalizer. Do you pay taxes? Because as long as you live in America, you're already paying into the system.
Right.
When you pay taxes, who you think that money's going to?
Right. Right.
They ain't going to people that look like us. When you pay sales tax,
Right.
when you pay property tax, are you buying Nike shoes? I mean, I talked about this before. Damn near everything that we buy, from designer clothes to shoes and all this other shit, it's going into a system of people who don't look like us. And the bottom line when I look at Christmas, I just look at it as a commercial thing.
Sure.
It's really about trying to get people to get there. They're trying to get your ass to go to the stores and buy items. Because as much as people say it's supposed to be about Jesus Christ, it's like you have the Santa Claus character that takes front stage over Jesus, right? And I know there's some people that believe that Jesus existed or Jesus didn't exist. Everybody's is each to own. But at the end of the day, America is a capitalist society, and they'll do whatever they got to do to get you to spend money. And if that is coming up with holidays, they're going to condition people to spend money.
Right.
And people are going to do what they're going to do, even if we don't agree with it. But the equalizer to this is that we're all living in the matrix, and we're all paying we're all paying taxes every year, which guess what goes into the very system that some of us do not appreciate. Let's
Right.
just keep it real. Unless
Right.
we're prepared to leave America and go run somewhere else where you really can't escape America's influence, because American influence, that's what always kills me about people that say, well, run to Africa. America's got influence all over the world globally. You can't escape it. It's just like modern day Rome. Anyway, let's move on. But everybody's to each his own of their opinions.
Sure.
Because, people can celebrate what they would like to celebrate, even
Sure.
if you don't agree with it.
No, it's all good.
Where do we want to go from here? We got the principles and sliders ready to go.
What I want to do is I just want to state why I did why I did this again, and then we can start to bring up the slides. I'll move through them, like I said, much more expeditiously than I did on my own cast. I had a lot of ad-libbing and whatnot there, but what I want to do is I really just want to break down some of the wording. And once I get through a few of the slides, then, you'll start to see where I started to be, because I really didn't look up the definitions until most recently when I thought about doing this. And then I was just like, damn, when I did read it, I was like, okay, so I'm going to really cook this when I get in it. But I just want to bring up the slide one by one, and I want to break down the definition of what they are and what it means, and what it was meant to mean, and where it's at today. And then we can share some dialogue back and forth, because
Okay.
I think that's what you were trying to get at, was,
Right.
are we following the principles of what Kwanzaa was meant back in 1966? Are we following it in 2023? We're now in 2023.
Right, because when you look at the principles, there's some things about them that could be universal to today.
Yeah.
But then another question I had for you is, should these principles be revised? Are they even feasible? Are they working to fit the generation in the time that we're living in today? So these are all things that can be debated. And if we have time to bring people up on the panel to also have further discussion. So let's go from here.
Let's go with number one. Let's start with number one.
All right. So let's see. We've got let me see here.
There we go.
Let's put
That's number one. So unity, it's African term, it's Swahili African term is umoja, and it says to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I believe as a collective, we should maintain unity within our family. And I think we still do a pretty decent job as a collective throughout the country with that. The community is where I get a little bit hung up on, because we really don't have Black communities anymore. We may have densely populated areas, but a community is made up of an American Freedman School, an American Freedman Hospital, an American Freedman doctor's offices, hospitals, law offices, restaurants, and we don't have that throughout this country the way we once did. So when he made this, we were in a better position in 1966 and had been in previous years with Black communities. And I want
Black communities. Yeah.
Real Black communities. Right. We were in really good. And then you can just take that to the Black nation. I think as the Black nation, I think we have been fractionalized so much now, where we're not only not together as far as from a unity perspective, but we have so many different ideologies about what it is to be black. So the black nation is fractionalized. So I think that tears at our unification.
Do you think that we're more and this is for everybody in the chat room, and I'll put your statements up on the screen. Do you think that black people, as we're going into 2023 now, or we're in 2023, excuse me, do you think we're more fractured today? Because when you look at black people today, it seems like we're in different tribes. So you have the tribe of those that call themselves Moors, the tribes that call themselves Hebrew Israelite, the tribe that call themselves I'm a Muslim. Then you have the conservative black folks. We're so separated by our beliefs. Then you have the Pan-Africans who say, hey, we're going to leave America and we're going to go back to Africa, our roots. So it's time for y'all to leave this. But I also always find it kind of funny how a lot of people who speak about Pan-Africanism, who tell you we should move to Africa, I often find it interesting and funny how they have not made a full move themselves.
And so to answer your question, we are fractured. And here's the thing. I speak a lot from a team sports perspective. And let's just put it in a perspective of, let's say, basketball. Basketball has guards, forwards, and a center on the court, right? There's three totally different positions. There's a point guard, there's a shooting guard, there's a small forward, there's a power forward, and there's a center. They all have 5 different jobs, right? And if you look at the black collective throughout the country, when you look at the black collective, a Moor, a Hebrew Israelite, a Muslim, or this or that, who's to say that they all can't have 5 different positionings, ideologies or whatever, but still be working for the black nation? Where I come into a problem is the Pan-Africanist people that want to move back to Africa. I ain't going no fucking place. This is my home. So why would I go to Africa when I am an American? Okay. Now I understand that I'm a descendant of people who came from Africa many, many, many generations ago, but Granville Rowley was born in Alabama. And that's my great-great-grandfather. He was born 9 years out of slavery. So I only know that. And I can't go back into Africa. And I ain't got no place to go back into Africa. I don't know what part of, and I'm not getting on Ancestry.com or ABC 123, none of that shit. I was born in America. My grandmother was born in America. My great-grandmother was born in America. My grandfather was born in America. My great-grandfather was born in America. And my great-great-grandfather. So why would I go back to Africa? Why would I even be seeking a pilgrimage to go to Africa? We're not going back. And that's where the Pan-Africanists have it wrong. We going back home. No, we're not going back. You'd be going. That's not our homeland. That might have been the people that we're descendants of homeland, but that's not our homeland. We built this country. And that continent over there was built by Africans and now being run by Chinese and Russians. So why would I go back over there? That doesn't make any sense. So in the structure, when you talk about Moors, Hebrew Israelites, Muslims, all that, I don't even include Pan-Africanists. Them clowns can go to hell. I don't even include them. People like Umar Johnson that talks all this craziness, or anybody that's on that Pan-Africanist going back here, going back there, that they've never, ever thought about actually going to Africa. They might go on a visit. They might go on a visit, right. But I'm talking about setting up shop. If Umar really wanted a school, he could go over to Africa and start a school easy.
Right, because he probably could, but the problem, let me just say this, and this may sound a little disrespectful, but let's remember the very man that he tends to worship, which is the Marcus Garvey. We know that Marcus Garvey never set foot on African soil of any kind within all of those 50-something countries within that continent. So that also is very questionable. You want us to go to a place that you've never been yourself. We know that there were black people who left America and created what's the country? Liberia. We know that that was something that took place where some blacks left, some blacks stayed. I get it. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not here to say that if a black person wants to go back to the continent and live there and live their life there, I'm not telling anybody not to do that. That's their business. But don't try to pressure other people and shame them if they choose to stay here in America and make their battle, do what they're going to do here.
I mean, I don't see, this is the thing. And you're being nice. And I know you can cut into somebody. You being nice right now. Think about it. What makes sense? You are an established businessman here. I started breaking my own dollar at 21, went into the corporate structure for many a years. Haven't collected a check from anybody in over 6 years now. Mm-hmm. So what I've done, I felt like I was a do-for-selfer, but I never called myself a Pan-Africanist because I absolutely know how we've been shaded in this system. Now, was I up on reparations and all that stuff before? Absolutely not. I don't lie to people. I didn't get deep into this till about three and a half years ago. So where I am now, it makes no sense for me to do what I do and to try to take that over to Africa and start from scratch. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't remotely make any sense. Here's the one thing. Who am I going over there with? Myself? My family ain't leaving. My family ain't going over to Africa. There's nothing that we know about Africa other than what we've seen on TV screen, movie screen, smartphone screen, iPad screen. We don't know nothing about Africa. And every time they make it look good to us over there, it's always some celebrity shit. I'm talking about some regular Joes going to Africa and making way. Everyone that I know that's gone over there and tried to make it has been back within 36 months.
Right. Now, let me just say this. This is brother CBNS Tech Talk. He's a Nigerian brother that lives, at one point in time, he lived in Canada, and he lives in, I believe, Brooklyn, New York. He was on the panel with us a couple of weeks ago. Very intelligent brother. I have a lot of respect for him. But he's making a good point here. He says, before anyone wants to move or check out Africa, check out the biggest African YouTuber known as Watamaya. And I'm glad you said that. I actually know Watamaya. He follows my channel, and I follow him. He's making good sense. It's just like this. My position is that I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. I'm saying what he's just saying right here. You should check out the different countries. It's a continent. A lot of times us in America, we keep looking at it as a country when it's a continent made of many different countries and languages and different culture values that people have, right? So you should go over there, check it out for yourself. And if it works for you, I don't begrudge anyone to move there because it works for them. But at the same time, to move over there, you got to have your economics in point. Now, I think CB and N will agree with me. You got to have because there's a brother that I know too he has a channel called Go Back to Africa. He did a video where he specifically warned Black Americans that you just can't move over there and think you're going to just live this luxury life if you don't have certain things in place, because things are also expensive in the continent as well. So that's just my position. I'm not here to tell people what to do. I'm simply saying, before we can start going somewhere, before we go somewhere, look, I've heard people say this before, Freeman. If we don't have our principles together here in America, if we can't love one another and we can't get rid of the self-hate and love one another, if we don't have ourselves together in America, what good are we going to be to the continent of Africa? All we're going to do is bring our poisonous attitude from America to the continent if you don't even have your mind on right? You're just going to bring whatever. You're going to bring your American ways to the continent and think that you're going to live over there like we're living over here in America. And it's two different things. It won't work that way. So sometimes you have to learn the culture and you have to humble yourself if you plan to make that move. That's all I'm saying, if you plan to make that move. But see, we have someone in the chat room who says he's Pan-African and he lives in Africa. He lives in Africa, or he's in Africa. And I say, kudos to you. But my only problem is to people who are Pan-African.
Which one is this? Because I'm not seeing him. What's his name?
I'll put him up. I think his name is Pan-Africanism. or is right here. This is my only issue though. Why is it, and I don't want to get us too off subject matter, but why is it that people who are Pan-African and other groups that they are a part of, why are they so concerned about black people in America talking about reparations? Why does that become an issue?
So here's my thing. First and foremost, I want to, Shaka put in, like reparations. Why does Shannon sound so upset about what some want to do? I'm not upset about anything. I'm just an excitable person. When I'm talking about us, I get excited. I'm a virile man, okay? I am not a passive spirit, so don't take my decibel level as being upset.
Right.
I have absolutely no feeling about this. I literally have no feeling. No. I got a 3-year-old above my head. That's who I care about.
Right.
She's up there with her grandma. That's all. That's what I care about. Trust me. This right here. I like this banter. We were supposed to start what, 5:15 my time. We didn't start till what, 6:30, because they know this is what I do. This is what I love. This is what. So trust me. I'm not upset about anything. But see, the thing is, I said in 2022, I'm not going to debate with somebody not only about reparations, but about things as far as like what the brother said. Do your research before you live anywhere. Absolutely. You should absolutely do your research, and not only do your research where you would consider moving, but you need to do your research on your finances. How deep are your pockets? You don't go anywhere foreign and pay the same dollar for dollar. No. You are going to get taxed when you first get there. For one, you are a visitor. You are not going to any country in Africa and achieving instantaneous citizenship. Therefore, you will pay more by being a visitor. That's just the way it is. If anybody ever went anywhere in this country.
And just like here, you will have people anywhere in the world that you go who are citizens there that will feel some kind of way about you coming over, thinking that you're going to get ahead, you're going to jump ahead of them. And that's why I brought up the American attitude. A lot of us, in general, we do have, whether we want to admit it or not, we do have this American attitude where we're used to being what? I'm first, me first. You go to another country and people that already live there are going to say, wait a minute, hold up. Just because you're American don't make you better than me. You just came here.
Right.
So, and that's why I recommend people listen to people like Go Back to Africa and people of that nature who tell you that real deal, saying to prepare yourself before you make these trips and start saying that it's the right fit for you. It's going to be the right fit for some people. It's not going to be the right fit for other people. It's to each his own. Can we get into another principle here?
Absolutely. Number 2. Let's go to number 2. Number 2 is self-determination. I don't know the exact pronunciation, but I believe it is Kujichagalua.
Yeah, Kujichagalua.
Okay. To define ourselves, to name ourselves, create for ourselves, speak for ourselves. Once again, I have nothing wrong with this definition based on when it was created, because we were lost. We were lost in the 60s. They had stripped us of so much from those years when we did have the Black Renaissance and we had those cities that, you know, were thriving, Black communities, and we were trying to redefine ourselves. So when it says to define ourselves, I think Black Americans had been defined. I think we have been stripped of that because we had been burned out, ran out, killed out in so many communities around the country. We were starting to redefine ourselves, name ourselves. Once again, I get why people change their names based on religious purposes. I don't shit on any of that. I'm just not going to call Ron Everett Ron Karinger or whatever his name, whatever that first name was. I'm going to call him Ron Everett just based on my lack of respect for him. Create for ourselves. Once again, I totally believe in that. Most of my life, I have been a do-for-selfer. Most of my adult life, I have been a do-for-selfer. I believe in producing my own product. Marketing my own product, selling my own product. Absolutely. The last thing, speak for ourselves. Now, we've had many of what they want to call civil rights leaders, Black leaders. We've had many of them. But literally, at this point right now, who leads the American freedmen population in this country? We don't have a true defined leader. We don't have a Malcolm. We don't have a Martin. We don't have a Medgar. We don't have groups like the Black Panthers. We don't have any of the sublet groups that grew off of those leaders. We don't have that anymore.
One can say, if I could, one could say that we have too many celebrities, athletes, unqualified Negroes.
Fuck them niggas.
Speaking for us, and we're listening to them. So when you look at someone like Kanye West, who shits all over, and I'm going to keep it real today, who shits all over Rosa Parks, and he gets up on media because he only wants you to buy his products. He only wants you to buy his slave-looking clothes.
Sure.
And he says a lot of goofy stuff that he's been saying.
Sure.
And you will find black people on these social media streets that will say, Kanye West is a free thinker. Kanye West is telling the truth about things that we already knew was about in the first place. So he's not telling us anything profound, but we get caught up in it because he's got money and he's saying it. But why do we have people like this talking for us? Why? And I'm going to show y'all something. Damn it. Hang on. Give me just 1 minute here. Because I want to remind you all of something that you've forgotten. And I did it on this channel before. Give me 1 minute, Freeman. Continue. Let me see here. Let me find this because I think it's important to remind people of this video that I showed you once before. If I can find it. Go ahead and continue talking, Freeman.
Well, sure. I mean, my main thing, and I don't see anything wrong with the self-determination definition. I don't see anything wrong with it. Where it needed to be updated and clarified, reclarified, was what we were doing with ourselves.
The poll taken by Newsweek magazine, I think you said that this was the leaders who said that, who went with King and against Mr. Muhammad, around 90%. I just told you a little while ago, these leaders that they call leaders, this included Lena Horne, this included Dick Gregory, and this included comedians, comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear. And it is an honor, actually, that they endorsed Dr. Martin Luther.
Now I want to stop it right there and go back over here where we were at before, but that's what I was talking about. Even Malcolm X said, beware of celebrities speaking for us, but yet we don't even follow the lessons of a legitimate man like Malcolm X, because we got a lot of these celebrities and insignificant individuals trying to speak for us when they have their own agenda, which is to get us to put money in their pockets.
And here's the thing. I believe that some of those people that he mentioned were thorough in Black America. And it's unfortunate that some of the more thorough ones were not American freedmen. I mean, you look at Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, many people that helped out our civil rights leaders and funded their movements were not even American freedmen, were not Black Americans. But it is what it is. I'm not here to really talk about that, but the self-determination thing, the self-determination thing, Malcolm X would have looked at Kwanzaa in 1966 had he lived. He would have looked at Kwanzaa and been like, okay, but we've got to update it. We've got to revise this as the times change. Just like Many people loved 1963 Dr. King, and most people hated 1967 Dr. King.
Right.
I mean, so where I'm at this point, we're bringing it, and I don't want to keep stretching it out for you. We already dropped in 60 minutes, so I want to keep it moving just for your sake, because here's the thing. If Malcolm X lives, Martin lives, all these people live. No, we're not questioning leadership, because I think leaders would have been spawned off of them, but they didn't. And the people that were put in play went for more of the commercialism, or they like that. What's that movie? I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. It's like brothers went downtown with guns and they came out with jobs. That's really what happened. Once Martin went down, everybody basically bowed down to the system, and they took political jobs, or they went another direction with it. Jesse, Andy Young, all of them did. Hosea Williams went to his grave talking shit about Jesse Jackson because he felt like Jesse Jackson was a fraud. Now, here's the thing. I used to give away food with Dr. Williams, and I had no idea who the man was. I did this back in 1988 with my father. I had no idea how deep he was. I just remember just going out in Atlanta and giving away food during the holidays with him. And it's one of those things that I look at people like that, and I'm like, and we still here in 2022? This is why I don't do those things. This is why, if I'm going to do something like that, looks like we lost. Okay.
No, we're not lost.
I thought your stream was going out.
No, it's not going out. That's my stuff.
Okay.
Let's keep going, brother.
My thing is where I'm trying to understand, if you build something, you got to keep building on additions. We don't have the same population as we had in 1966, as we have in 1922, and we don't have the same type of population. So why wouldn't Kwanzaa have evolved with the way we have grown as a populated base? Let's go to number 3. Let's just go to number 3, because I'm gonna be able to run something back on you once we do that. So we've got Ujima. Sorry, because Ujima's coming up next. Ujima, collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. It's a lot of words, but truly all it's basically saying is we keep everything in home. We don't go to the outsiders and give our problems to them, because if we give our problems to the outsiders now control when we heal. So if we stay inside with Black communities, which we don't have, because we've heard about more Black death in hospitals, in jails, in all types of stuff that are not where we live. We have to travel generally to get to a hospital. We don't even have substations in densely populated Black neighborhoods anymore. So when the police come in, it's generally either an I Spy or 2 white cops coming into a Black neighborhood, and we already know how that's going to end. So when we talk about maintaining our community and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together, that has been fractured because we don't have the community anymore. And Ujima, collective work, we can have collective work if we are working as a collective, but we've been too fractured. But it doesn't negate the responsibility to each other. I still try to support Black-owned businesses. I still try to promote Black-owned businesses, even if I'm not in that jurisdiction. If you got a Black-owned business, I just ran a politician, a county commissioner in the ground on my stream earlier today, because he wanted to say it was a locally owned business instead of saying it was a Black-owned business, because he's trying to please the white man. I'm not trying to please the white man. I'm trying to send our brothers and sisters to that restaurant so they can help them people survive.
Right. Let me just say this.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
Brother Freeman, CM Tech Talk is saying Freeman is correct on information why we need to work on our own institutions as well. And let me just say this, because I don't want this to come off as the same thing needs to happen globally with Black people that live in the diaspora of the world. Black people that are in the continent of Africa and those various different countries, Black people that live in the UK, Canada. This is the same thing. This is universal. Black people, wherever they are in the world, should be working on these same types of ideologies together. Let me go ahead and do this too. I have a super chat from Brother Larry, Anything Goes LLC, gave me a $10 super chat. He says, Happy New Year. And I want to say to everybody, Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for that super chat, brother.
Thank you for the super chat.
And for you doing that, I'll have to give you a little bit of this here.
Thank you for the super chat. Information is power. Thank you for the super chat.
Tell the truth.
Brother, thank you for that super chat. Thank you. We're going to get back on track now. Larry, Anything Goes LLC gave me a $10 super chat. I want to appreciate everybody in the chat room that's rocking with us today. Look, I just want to give this disclaimer. I personally don't have a problem with people having a difference of opinion in the chat room, because I'm going to put it on the board. You can have a difference of opinion. I'm not going to criticize people for having a difference. You know how I always say, everybody, I just don't want people to be disrespectful to people, but we should be able to express a difference of opinion, because nothing is 100% foolproof. We're all trying to work through this together. Let's continue on, Freeman.
Absolutely.
Just let me know whenever you want to meet.
And keep in mind, I like the banter. That's why I try to stay up with the chats. I like the banter. I like the comebacks, because one of the things that helps these streams go for me is the engagement. This is really just like us just sitting around in a room talking. We're just the only ones that are kind of speaking right now, and they're speaking, through their text dialogue. So I have no problem. Even if somebody is absolutely against what I'm saying, I'm not going to come at them in a negative fashion, because if I'm that sensitive, I don't need to be on YouTube. I need to just be on Facebook, or maybe I'll get me a Twitter space. And if I want to go off on people, this is really the media. We already know this. We've talked about this. Mainstream media is dead. Yeah, they're only surviving because it hasn't died out enough on a global scale. But mainstream media, they know it's dead, and that's why they're sending all of their programming to the internet.
Right, so, because they know that this is where everyone is at, so they figure, oh, we can get them over there. No, but this is the thing. This is the crazy thing about it. Even when mainstream media moves to like YouTube, for example, we're still not watching them. We're still not taking the cues from them at all. At least a lot of us are not. Let me just read a couple of messages here. Golden Melanin says this: any and everything that is relevant to us advances as a people and being stabilized as a people. We have to establish it. Nothing that outsiders give us is going to benefit us the way we need it to. Very excellent statement that she leaves there. And let me give some love to my sister. Ooh, I love the new hairstyle, Sister Jackie. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
She got it whipped. She got it whipped.
Yeah, she got it real whipped up, and I love it. Love the change in an avatar picture. She says here, employees who work for Black-owned businesses that thrive stay there for years. Actually, that is true. And then we got the lovely Tiffany Jackson, who's been rocking with me for a long time. Let me give some respect to Black Anonymous. Black Anonymous, what's going on with brother Honors? He hasn't gone live or put out any content in a long time. I hope he's doing well, but I would love to see some content from the brother. I want to see that he's doing fine and his family and everything like that. Black Anonymous says this: if we really had the principles of Ujima, then frauders like Polite. Ooh, I love what he's about to say right here. I love it.
Tell the truth.
And Umar Johnson and the rest of them could not have flourished the way they have. They have, man, Black Anonymous, I'm giving you a clap on that. You telling the truth. God honest
truth. Tell the truth.
And then my brother says here, CMB Tech Talk says to check out. Yeah, I got no problem with you dropping or talking about Walter Maya. And the reason why I've got no problem with you promoting his channel, because that's my brother. I know him. I've talked to him. I've been on panels with him before. He has supported my channel. So I love Brother Walter Maya because he keeps it real. He goes to different parts of Africa and he shows you how things are really happening. One of the things I like about him is that he doesn't try to give you illusions. He just shows you exactly how it is. And he's humorous. He's fun. He's got a huge channel. He's loved throughout the diaspora, and that's my brother. All right. Let's move on. Brother Freeman. And we got
Okay.
Real Aaron Collins, and we got to go with Glow is in the house. I know who you are. What's going on? Glorion Murray in the house, and Peggy Roster's in the house. Real Aaron Collins in the house. Reps is in the house. Brother Shaka, Shaka had a difference of opinion about your brother, but Shaka's a mod in my chat, and I respect people's differences of opinion. This is not a place where we want everybody to think the same, but we hope that we give you some food for thought.
No, here's the thing.
This is not a sexy topic today.
I'm not even concerned. I'm not even concerned. Like I said, he said respectfully, do you celebrate 4th of July, Thanksgiving, and other U.S. holidays? No, I don't. I celebrate Juneteenth. Now that they've got it established, I'll celebrate Juneteenth. I don't do the coon shit that they do around in my neighborhood because they still walk around with red, black, and green on Juneteenth. And Juneteenth ain't got nothing to do with red, black, and green. It's red, white, and blue. So I don't celebrate 4th of July. Haven't celebrated 4th of July in several years now. Can't say that I didn't before. And I can't say that I didn't before.
That's actually true. I know as much as people don't want to hear this, it's true. Juneteenth doesn't have it doesn't correlate with the black and green. Like, for example, a lot of Pan-Africans will wrap their arms around it, but it has nothing to do with Pan-African values. It has nothing to do with anything associated with Africa as a continent. It's really something that happened here on this land and soil. Now, that's not, that cannot be debated, but everyone to each his own what they want to do. Golden Melon is in the house. Robert X has just come through. My man Keith Weston, who I really agree. Hey, Keith, I want to tell you something, brother, while I have you here. I went to Brother Black's channel to try to get his channel back in my algorithms. YouTube is doing something to that brother's channel because I'm also a member of his channel, and I can never get his videos and his content to be popped up to me like everything else is popped to my phone and my desktop. Something is going on with Tim Black's channel in terms of what YouTube is doing to his channel. It is clear to me. And plus, they're doing it to my channel, too. All right.
He went against the grain. I mean,
yeah, because
Tim Black went against the grain. He was a liberal, and he said some things. He said some things. I mean, and they spanking him right now. I was following the brother, to be honest with you, on a lot of his material, and for some reason, I stopped getting the notifications. I'm like, what's going on? Then I seen him guest on a couple podcasts and things like that. I'm like, why is he not on his own platform? And literally, I don't think I've actually been notified about anything about him in at least 2 months.
I'm a member of his channel, and I'm not even getting notified when he's got new content. I mean, I have to go to his channel to look at it. Of course, I know how to do that. But what I'm noticing is that they're not even sending me notifications, but I'll get notified. But check this out. I'll get notified, and everybody in the chat room, put a 7 if you agree with what I'm about to say. You will get notifications from channels that ain't giving you nothing but a bunch of black folks arguing with each other and getting into gender war and all this other nonsense, right? Oh, YouTube has no problem sending you the nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get that all day, every day on YouTube, sent to your phone, sent to your desktop. It's crazy. Adina Cole says, I sure love your guest information, man. I agree with everything I heard coming out of his mouth so far. And everybody is putting a 7 in there saying they kind of agree with what I'm saying. It's really crazy. We got Miss Latoya Thompson, who's coming to the house, and I'm so glad to see you over here. Clap to you. We got Rankin in the house putting a 7. Rankins, I hope I'm saying that correct. We got Empress Goddess, who has a channel. Make sure you check her out. And let me read what Tiffany says, and then we're going to move on to the next principle. Tiffany Jackson says that it seems everything Black America is open to being gets, co-opted by any group within the African diaspora due to belief in black is black. Very curious. I got to be honest with you. I feel like Black Americans, I'm talking about black people that was born here, I feel like we have more problems with our local raccoons. I think our local raccoon, y'all know what I mean by that. I think our local raccoons are doing more harm to us than people that are coming from other parts of the world that look like us. Just my opinion. We are being, because if you look at it historically, it's been our local raccoons that have held us back. But I see her point there. Now, let's go to the next principle, shall we?
Yeah. To add, just to really add on to that, the biggest problem with that diaspora thing is when you got someone like a Jim Clyburn, who was the most powerful black Democrat, upping Sheila Jackson Lee, who was a tether. Where can you win politically there? See, they both need to go. Clyburn needs to go and Jackson Lee needs to go, because he ups what she does dealing with HR 40. And we know HR 40 is a nothing burger for reparations. So when you have that type of situation happening, that's where it is. They flattened blackness over the last, I don't know how many years. And now we've gotten to this space where reparations is really being spoken about thoroughly. And they want to throw HR 40 back up. And it's revisement back in 2017 and whatever it is. It's still nothing for us.
Right. Look, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely right.
They've been working on HR 40 for a long time, going all the way back to when they first got started back in 89, when they were talking about the issue of reparations. Guess what? I used to have complete black hair. Look how gray my hair is. I'm 53 years old now. And ask yourself this fundamental question. This is for everybody in the chat room. When have they given us a report as to what's going on with the study? Have they concluded their study? When has the study started? How long does it take to begin the process? And why hasn't it not been concluded by now? Since they've been going over this thing since I was a younger man. Now my hair is getting gray, and I'm considering using dye in my hair. Going back to the Freeman now.
Let that platinum go, bro.
Folks, I'm not going to dye my hair.
Let that platinum grow, dog. Don't do the just for men thing. It just it ain't, you know.
And they got one on YouTube. Y'all been seeing it. Y'all been seeing it. There's another one on YouTube where they had his brother, right? And he put this stuff on his brush and he goes like that, and it's all this white stuff, and it makes it go away. On YouTube, one of the YouTube commercials. No, I mean, look. The HR 740 bill, I have no faith in, because the people that's behind it, they're just stalling us. And tired ass Jim Clyburn, what has he done for you lately, black folks? We could sing that Janet Jackson song. What have you done for me lately? Mm-hmm. All right, Freeman, let's move on to the next principle.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. We're going to go to Ujima. So going from Ujima to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Once again, I have no problem with the way this was positioned in 1966. But where we are in 2023, we don't own near the businesses, near the shops, the stores, nothing. And as far as profit is way lower. I mean, we're talking 95% of the black-owned businesses in this country have less than 3 employees. And where I believe this should have evolved, because I don't believe that we can buy and sell on a collective level and be profitable. We have to get into manufacturing. We have to be the producers. And where we were once the producers, of fruits and vegetables, you don't see us out here farming no more. Look at all the hell that the farmers who have been farming generation after generation, and how they've been jacked up by the government and pushed out of the game. So when you talk about, production and maintaining our own stores, our shops, and other businesses, they've killed that. This is why when we talk about reparations, it's not just talking about people that don't have. Let's uphold those people who've been in the game, because they deserve. They've been promising black farmers money for years. You always hear about how much money the black farmers are getting, and every right after that, That's that same brother with the cowboy hat. He gets on Roland Martin or whatever, says how the government didn't give them their money.
Well, I'm glad you said that right there, Freeman, because CME Tech Talks asked a very good question right up the alley of what you just said. Question for the show. Would you consider Roland Martin Unfiltered Show as a black institution, as black-owned media?
No.
Now, let me just say this to you. It is black-owned, but is it black media? We got to question it because he's based. I've looked at Roland Martin's show. It's the same type of talk that you get on these BET shows, that you get on TV One. It's the same talk and stuff that we hear on the regular TV shows. You see the same folks that he brings on that show that you would see on a TV program on mainstream, where they only talk about the issues on the surface level, but they don't get deep into it. And then at the end of the day, they want us to all stay on the Democratic plantation, okay?
And that's all Roland Martin's show is about, is upholding the Democratic Party. So, you know, if Roland's show was a nonpartisan show, I think he'd be much more popular. I think he'd be probably as popular as he was when he was on TV. But where he's at now, he has been basically pegged as a Democratic shill. I mean, he's going to uphold everything Democratic. Yeah, he's going to show some opposition to some of the things. But for the most part, Roland Martin is not going against the wheel, because that's how he makes his money, upholding the Democratic Party. He's going to uphold Clyburn. He's going to uphold Sheila Jackson Lee. He's going to uphold Maxine Waters. He's going to uphold them all. He's going to uphold. Go ahead.
I think one of the reasons why where Roland Martin went wrong, and the same thing with Donna Brazile that used to be on CNN, is that both of them were buck dancing for Hillary Clinton. In the case of Roland Martin, and there's folks out there that I know that know me personally ain't gonna like what I'm saying here, but I gotta tell the truth because my show is about truth.
Tell the truth.
When Roland Martin was doing all that buck dancing for Hillary Clinton years ago, that was a bad look, ladies and gentlemen. Do y'all remember that? Put a 7 in the chat room if you remember that. Remember he did all that dancing for her? That was a bad look. It was reminiscent to buck dancing on a plantation. Then you both, Donna Brazile and Roland Martin, were behind the scenes sort of doing some shady stuff to make sure that Hillary Clinton was going to get elected. You remember this, Freeman. They were doing some shady stuff, and it came out in the wash. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? Did you see Hillary Clinton come out, ladies and gentlemen, and back Roland Martin or Donna Brazile when she got fired or let go from CNN? Did she ever come out and defend Roland Martin and Donna Brazile, even though they both stuck their necks out for her and she was a flawed candidate any damn way? I rest my case, ladies and gentlemen. If you agree with what I'm saying, hit a 7 in the chat room. If you're not sure, hit a 8.
So
go ahead, Freeman.
Understanding that everything was perfectly fine, but it would have needed to be upgraded based on where we were politically.
Right. Go ahead.
It would have needed to be upgraded, and it wasn't. I mean, you got 66 the year after Malcolm's killed. Then you got 68. It's 2 years before. When this was stated and put in play, you know, we were already traumatized dealing with Malcolm. We had lost Medgar, lost Malcolm, you know, having all the issues dealing with the Black Panther Party and all that stuff at its early stages. Now we're in a situation where we're 2 years from Martin being killed. And, you know, he was being attacked, being this, being that. And he was starting to turn against. He was starting to turn against the structure, the infrastructure of America. And that's why he was killed. If Martin was the same person from 1963 to 1967, they wouldn't have shot him in 1968. He would have lived. Right. But he wasn't. And situations like this never evolved. Situations like this never got better for us, you know. And that's why I'm where I am as far as that type of affair. We need to move forward with any idea that comes up for us. In 1965, I forgot what they said. What was the African immigration was less than 5%, something like that in
Something like that.
1965.
Something like that.
So but then you go to 1995. Come on now, it's a big difference. And you see a lot of Africans owning business where you don't see a lot of American freedmen owning businesses. And it's not because we don't want to own businesses. They came over here and got set-asides. They came over here and got the things that were meant for Black Americans. But since the government likes to flatten blackness, they just give anything to any nigga. That's the way they look at it. And the ones who are going to lose out are the ones who actually have roots here. The ones who are coming over here, the ones who wash up on the shores of America, that's who gets the set-asides, not the ones who have been here on a generational level.
Right, but let me just say this though, and to give some context though to this. Would you agree with me, Freeman, that overall, when Black immigrants come to America, overall Black immigrants get treated like the back door in comparison to other immigrant groups? I give you examples. When you see Black Cubans come over to Florida, what do the white Cubans do? They send them right back over to Cuba. They put them on a boat, ship them right on back. When we witnessed the Haitians at the border down there in Texas, I think it was in El Paso, and they were underneath the freeway. Just in the same way you see Central American and Mexican immigrants trying to come over, or migrants trying to come over, what they do to the Haitians, they rounded them up within 3 to 4 days and sent them right back to Haiti. Even the ones that America said, hey, we want you to come over because we know that you had a big earthquake over there. So then what they did is they went into Brazil and worked. Then they came into Mexico and they all got pushed and got rid of. So what I noticed is that even when it comes to Black migrants or trying to come in, if you're Black, get back. If you're white, you're right. If you're brown, you can stick around, which is why I'm sick of Black people, especially Black politicians, constantly using the word people of color, Black and brown, like we on some damn coalition. We ain't on no damn coalition. But anyway, I digress here. Go ahead, Freeman.
So yeah, I mean, that's just plain and simple for me. You know, I would have liked that to have been updated in the way the years went. The 60s were way different than the 70s. The 70s are way different than the 80s. The 80s are way, and we should have had some type of upgrade into that as well. Let's hit that next one.
All right, here we go now, sir. We got
Nia.
Purpose. Go ahead.
To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people and their traditional greatness. Now, if you go back to, I forgot the one where he says to redefine ourselves, to name ourselves, to create for ourselves, that's the same thing as here. I mean, if you look at those two definitions, they're literally the same thing. To make our collective the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people and their traditional greatness. He just used different words. I'm about words. I can break this whole definition down, which I did on my own stream. There's no reason for this. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't have a purpose, that we didn't have a purpose, but people get caught in the words. People get caught up in the words. And once you've passed day 2, day 3, whatever, and you're on to day 5, you ain't gonna go look back and say, oh man, that's the same thing that day 3 said. No, because it was all about collective uplift. I get it. I totally get it. So the main thing for me is what he did was he just flipped it around, and now he's talking about building. Now he's talking about building and developing our community. You know where I would have put purpose, where I would put Nia? I'd have put it back near number 1. Because if we're going to build, why are we building after we've already tried to redefine ourselves and create for ourselves and this, that, and the other? This should have been 4 or 5 back. Mm-hmm. Purpose is absolutely important.
So you're saying that purpose should have been earlier on in the process.
Absolutely. Let's lay a foundation to what we're doing. Let's lay a foundation of what we're doing, and the foundation would be the building and developing of our community. But he already done talked about upkeeping our community and doing this to our community, and what it's backwards. It's just backwards. And I'm not saying that it was wrong, but we should have sold, trained, scramble boarded this shit. But nobody thought about that. Even years later, they would have been like, you know what? We're going to break this whole 7 principles down. And this is what we need to do with the Black community. We need to be on our building. We need to be about this. We need to be about that. and breaking things down. Hell, like I said, people like, you said it, polite, and somebody said it in the chat, polite, and I don't trust polite to save my life.
Umar Johnson.
Umar Johnson, anybody like that, anybody that was trying to build, for real. I don't think polite's really trying to build. I think polite was just about the bag. But anybody that was really trying to build, and they were saying they were going to try to build schools and this, that, and the other, if they just lived by the principles of Kwanzaa every day, not just 7 days after Christmas, he'd have had that school built by now. But it was more about self-gratification for Umar. Umar's more concerned about telling people how he is multi-degreed and he's a child psychologist and he does this and he does that. He's more into that than really about collective uplift. And besides that, he talks all that Pan-Africanist shit about going back, and he ain't never been himself other than to visit. So that's what I'm saying.
He's gone there to visit, but he's never laid down a foundation to live there.
Sure.
Right?
No.
He's never purchased any property to live there. He's also made statements that he's going to build a school, but hell, he can't even get a school going here in America because, like I told you, he buys a school in one of the worst areas. I'm not going to open up that can of worms.
No,
here we are in 2023, and he keeps moving the goalposts over and over again.
Sure,
but that's true. That's true what you're saying, brother.
But so that's what I'm saying. It was backwards. And as I was getting through my stream and being able to show people, going back through the slides and showing how it was more or less word salad and just kind of flipped around. It's probably sounded great in 1966. You know, our dialogue has changed a lot since 1966. Like I said, I wasn't even around then, but I've gone back and read literature that was in the 50s and the 60s. And the way we talk now versus the way we talk then is totally different. So that probably sounded really slick back then. So I have to commend the brother for locking people in with his word salad back then, but that's all I can give him because he's 81 now. He himself has never tried to upgrade this. Somebody said he went on to be a professor at a university. He could have upgraded this. He had the backing of a university to be able to upgrade Kwanzaa. He probably could have made Kwanzaa a course. There's so many different things that we can go to, but we ain't gonna spend all the time on that. Let's get to number 6, because I want to get to why I'm against Kwanzaa so I can get up out of here.
Let me just say this. I think that's very intriguing what you just said, that why didn't he upgrade this? That's a very intriguing thought. Let's go to the next one.
Go ahead. And this is Kuumba, creativity. To always do as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. To always do as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. There's nothing wrong with that, the way he said it. It was a little bit redundant. I'm about the words. He didn't need some of that, but he did what he did and he said what he said. Now, this comes right after building. This comes right after developing. Now he's saying here to always do as much as we can. Well, those two could have locked in right there. Those two could have locked in early on, but we're almost at the end of the principles. We're almost at the end of the 7 days. We almost end back to the regular calendar. Our holiday is almost over. And he done locked us in on some certain things on the beginning. And I'm telling you, as a writer, I've done this before. And I'm glad that we've got the technology because I can copy something and move it around. Like I said, he could have Soul Train scramble boarded this thing and made it a whole lot more fruitful for us. And it would have been like a stair-step program versus the way he did it. I think these ideas and these numbers just came down the way they made them, and nobody went behind Ron Everett and checked them and said, well, why don't we put this here, brother? Well, why don't we put this here, brother? This makes more sense to do this, because he probably didn't have that many people that were going against him, and he probably didn't have that many people that was really going with him, flat out. I mean, he thought of this, and like I said, I'm actually about to drop a slide so I can really put the reason why I'm against Kwanzaa up here, because we ain't gonna go all the way back to that number one.
Well,
go ahead.
Let's correct. You're not against, because people may take things out of context.
Sure.
You're not against black people unifying and being cooperative economically with each other.
Come on, man.
Working together and having a culture and a community. You're not against that.
Absolutely not.
You're simply pointing out some of the flaws in something that was written in the 60s that may not fit the world that we live in today. Or we'll get to that. I don't want to speak for you. Should we get to the next principle?
Yeah, give me one quick second. Let me just yeah, I think that's
Because
it
when you
right
say
there.
that, when you say that, people may watch this on the replay, and they may misinterpret where you're coming from when you say that. But I know you're going to
here's the
explain it.
thing. Info, you know me, and I think I've spoken clear enough to where people have to know that I'm about my people first and foremost. If not, they can always subscribe to Freedman Media and check out the last 700 videos.
I'll put the link to your channel.
I ain't never been against our people, and I never speak against our people. I'm always for the upliftment of our people, but I'm not for no clown shit. And I don't like people. And somebody put in there, did I support Tariq Nasheed's a Tuesday, whatever that shit is? No, I didn't. Because all he did was basically grifted off of the Kwanzaa holiday, so people didn't throw money towards Kwanzaa, and they threw money towards him. He didn't want you to buy a Kwanzaa hoodie. He wanted you to buy that red Rusty or whatever that shit is. I don't support that. Sorry.
Right.
I mean, my thing is this. Tariq Nasheed did what he did with the movies and the document, the documents that he's put out there over all these years. I get it. And I commended him for it. But some of the other shit that he's done, nah, I can't commend him for it. And we don't need anybody trying to rebuild the structure for taking money out of our pockets. Because that's all that was about. That was about basically taking money out of people's pockets. Where did that help across the country? Other than some people bought some hoodies and some flags and some banners and some whatever. I mean, what did it really actually do? It didn't move the needle one bit. And it basically just grifted off of the Kwanzaa mantra, which is bullshit too. So now we got two bullshit black holidays. So yeah, let's bounce to number 7. And then I ain't even gonna worry about cooking on the symbols, because the symbols don't make any more sense than the principles made. Right. They really was out of pocket. But let's go to number 7. And then I want to tell everybody basically why I'm where I'm at with this, because for the upliftment of black people, I'm always gonna be there. Aren't these principles things we should do automatically? Absolutely, Deborah Gunn.
Right. That's what she made
absolutely.
A really good point.
Here's the thing. We need to be doing these principles 365 days a year, not just 7 days after Christmas. Not just 7 days after Christmas. We shouldn't have to concern ourselves with what we do from the 26th to the 2nd of January. This should be something that we wake up thinking about every single day. And you don't have to do one a day. You can think about all 7 every single day. Purposely, you can get up and be like, man, what am I going to attack today? I'm going to attack this one. I'm going to attack that one. I'm going to attack that one. You can do 2 to 3 of them easy in a 24-hour day. Easy. But because it was localized to be after the holiday. And I'm going to tell you why, because I don't think a lot of people have seen this. Some people have, but a lot of people haven't seen what we're going to put up in a minute. But let's go to number 7.
All right. Yeah. Stay tuned. He's got something for you. Go ahead. This is
Imani. Yep, this is faith. To believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. I have absolutely no problem with this. Once again, the 7 principles on a surface scale, I have no problem with. Once again, though, I believe this probably should have been first. I think this should have been first, because here's the thing. Don't I have to have faith in my people? Well, no, first, I need to have faith in my parents. I need to have faith in my teachers, in my people, in my leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. I need to have that first before I get unity. If I'm not a believer, how am I going to unify? This comes out of the black church. He didn't do nothing but take this out of the black church. The black church wants you to have faith. They want you to drop to your knees and submit yourself to Jesus and sweat and foam at the mouth. Catch the Holy Ghost. That's when you got that deep faith. And then once you do that, you become a church member. And what did you just do? You just unified with the saints in church. So this should have been number 1, and unity should have been number 2. That's the way I looked at it. That's the way I looked at it.
No, I agree with you. He just borrowed from the church, faith, family, Nia, having purpose, faith, having purpose. These are areas that we can make the argument in today's time that maybe that should have been the first. But like you said, let's keep it in context. Yeah. He wrote this at a time in the 60s where there was there was a lot of things going on in the 60s that many of us weren't alive to see. Yep. And so I got to be honest with you, Freeman. what he wrote was probably largely relevant for the time that they were in.
Absolutely.
And then at some point in time, as black people started to gravitate towards these principles and away from Christmas, it probably did have some reverence. But as we're moving forward and we're in the year 2023 now, we have to look at these things and say, what's relevant, what's not relevant, what needs to be revised. I'm using, that's the proper word for this, to revise some of these principles to fit the world that we live in today. What's going on, Brian Simpson? But anyway,
Brother Brian been with us all day. He was in the chat with you and my stream earlier.
Yeah, Black Ryan comes over and supports the channel, which I appreciate. And I want to let everybody know, I know that this is not a sexy, it's kind of in your face. It's kind of like in your face topic where we're kind of saying things, talking about things that people are going to agree with and disagree with. And once again, I want to say it again. I have no problem with people disagreeing or agreeing. I have no problem with people who will leave comments after this video and say, hey, I agree with this part, but I didn't agree with that. I have no problem with that. Mm-hmm. I will put your channel, all that information in the description of this video too, Freeman. Before you leave today, we're going to have you shout out your channel and where people can find you. And I know that I've hung, let me let everyone know that I've been on, I've been in Twitter spaces where this man has been on panels in Twitter spaces talking about the issues of reparations. There is no doubt in my mind that Freeman Media is 100% down for the best thing for black people, particularly as it relates to the issues of reparations. I've seen this man firsthand. We've talked personally, so I know he is committed to our people. But Freeman, let's go on to the next slide.
I'm gonna drop.
If you're ready.
This is for your people. This is for your people because I know they second guessing me. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to my Twitter space that I did where I talked about black people being a monolith to talk about reparations, not just a monolith as far as black people, but we need to be a monolith that we're going to talk about reparations, and they'll understand why if they go ahead and check out. I don't do the big numbers that you do, but I did have 500 people check out that Twitter space, and I had no kickback. I had no kickback from it because it makes sense. But let me just get to Shaka real quick, and then we're going to cook on why because he actually, Shaka's helped me. He's inspired me during this cast. So he said he agrees with all 7 principles. Then why are you nitpicking? I'm not nitpicking. You listening to what you want to listen to, brother. I'm not nitpicking. I already said the principles play. The principles absolutely play, but they needed to be updated for them to play well. Just like when you got a record back in the day, just like I got this album behind me. This album is good when it's brand new, but 20 years later, that album is warped. Well, that album ain't gonna play the same. The needle gonna bounce up and down on that album. You got to put a quarter on that needle. Do y'all even know what that needle is about? When you got to put that you know about the info. When you got to put that quarter on that record to make it play the same. You got to upgrade your situation. Right. So the thing is, I'm not nitpicking. I don't have to nitpick. The thing is, if I nitpicked it, I wouldn't even be here today. I want these principles to actually work. Like I said, I've said Happy Kwanzaa before. Just like I said Merry Christmas before. Yeah. So, but if I'm gonna believe in something and talk about something, then it's got to be right for me. It's got to be right for my people. We ain't lighting 7 candles and or putting up 7 candles and lighting them each day if we don't live those meanings. I bet who does that? Is that the Jewish people?
And that's the question here. That's why I brought this up in the beginning of the show in my dialogue. Are we living up to principles? Right? Are we living up to principles? Are we going to live up to these principles? Because when I look at the stuff that I see on social media and how I have noticed how some black people will treat other black people, then it makes me question whether we're living up to these principles. Now, when I put up these basic principles, such as principles of a fundamental truth, proposition that serves as a foundation for a system of beliefs or behaviors or for a chain of reasoning. Look at our behavior. Are we behaving in a way that's conducive to the term principle when it comes to how we treat one another as black people and where we're trying to go forward? That's why I brought that up. That's just a basic term of principles. But what I want to say here is that I think it's like this, Freeman. It's very simple.
Sure.
I think what you're doing is what we're saying is, and what you've been saying is that if you look at professors or black, professors,
Hello?
it's called advising. You're advising your book.
Hey, boo-boo.
I think
You about
even
to go- about
Neely
to go,
Fuller Jr. did this
get out
with
of
his
there.
what is a pensatory theory. That must be one of your grandkids.
There's my granddaughter. How y'all? Say hi. Grandpa's on with somebody else today. I'm on with somebody else. You about to go take a bath?
Are you talking to somebody?
I am. I'm talking to him, and I'm talking to those people that are writing in there. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Hello.
You about to take a bath?
He's not talking to us.
He is. Oh, you can't hear him because I got my earphones in. Here, hold on one second. Say something now. Say hi.
Hi.
Info,
Hello.
say hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Is Info
Nice to,
there?
see you.
He dropped.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Info drop. Okay. So yeah, but
No, I'm here. I'm here, brother.
okay. No, she
I've
was
been
trying to
here the
say
whole
hi to
time.
you. She couldn't hear you because I got my earphones on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think she can't. She can't
Can you
hear,
say hi?
but
Say
I'm
hi
saying
again.
hi to her.
Let's say hi. Can you hear
Hello
him?
there. Good to see
Can you hear her, Info?
Yeah, I can hear her clear. She just can't hear me because she doesn't have your headphones on. That's
It's
all.
real low. I'm sorry
It's okay.
because it's coming through my phone.
Happy New Year to her too as well.
Hold on a second. Here, listen. Say it.
Hello, this is information. Hello, I want to say Happy New Year to you. Good to see you.
Say happy New
Thank
Year.
you for saying hi to everybody. Okay, thank you.
All right. Grandpa will be done in a minute. Okay.
All right.
Huh? Yeah, I am. I'm almost done with my principles. All right. I'll see you in a minute.
All right.
All right.
All right. So let's do this. Let's get to the next.
So here's the
area.
thing. Let's go to the last slide, the Washington Post. And this is the last one that I just put up.
You talking about this one right here?
That one right there.
Okay.
So the thing is, this is where I felt totally off. I've been off for a minute, Info. I've been off for a minute. But when I saw this pop up, I was like, okay, so wait a minute. We've had this scenario. Somebody had tweeted it, and it had been out, for a while. But then back in May 9th, 1978, the father of Kwanzaa, I created Kwanzaa, laughed Imran Karenga, like a teenager who just divulged a deeply held, now I think they meant precious, but they wrote precisions, and nobody chose to edit it. So working for the Washington Post back then must have been real easy. So it was precisions. People think it's African, but it's not. I wanted to give Black people a holiday of their own. So I came up with Kwanzaa. I said it was African because Black people in this country wouldn't celebrate it if they knew it was American. I was pissed.
Whoa.
I was pissed.
Tell the truth.
So my thing is, you said people think it's African, and it's got all these African names to it. It's got all these African names to it. It didn't just say these names have been translated from Africa to fit American culture. You gave us some African names. He was slick. He tried to fool people, bro.
Wow.
He tried to fool people. And then he went on to say, if Black people thought it was American, they wouldn't have believed in it. But if you could just bring it back up so I can finish it, because I know everybody had basically screenshotted it when you brought it up. Also, I put it around Christmas because I knew that's when a lot of Bloods, back in the day, they called us Bloods, what up, Blood? Because I knew a lot of Bloods would be partying. So he preyed on Black Americans getting together, pouring liquor out for their homies, getting together with their families during the holiday season. And everybody don't get together on Christmas Day. That whole time between Christmas and New Year's is when we get together with our families. Because universally, that's pretty much the only time that we're going to have off. Most people, they get off between that time. And back then, when you had a lot of single working homes, or you had people who worked in jobs where they might have been able to take that time off when their kids were out of school, what do? You party during that time. It wasn't just for your kids to be out of school and you to be doing it. You party. So we said, I also put it around Christmas because I knew that's when a lot of Bloods would be partying. So he preyed on our consumerism. He preyed on our consumerism in 1966, then told the truth about it in 1978, and nobody checked his black ass ever. Ever.
Wow. You know, I don't even think that I knew that he made it to be something for Black Americans, to give us something as an alternative to Christmas. But I don't think I knew that detail to his methodology in a sort of twisted way. So now, folks, now you're seeing why Freeman is coming to the conclusion that he's coming to, where he says, well, let's continue on.
The thing is, people want to see the short-sightedness of what I'm saying, but this had long-term detrimental qualities to it because it was made out to be a joke. It was made out to be a joke. He said this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say it. It ain't like I built it. He said he made it to sound African because we as Americans wouldn't have believed that. We had to believe that it was African. Why? We had plenty of things. I would have to say, during the 20th century and even back into the 19th century, we built this country, but we also invented so much in this country that we weren't given credit for it. Why wouldn't we believe that it was an American holiday?
Right.
And we had American inventors. We had Black American inventors. Right. Why wouldn't we believe that we could come up with our own holiday? Why do we have to go backwards to Africa to build up a holiday?
Right. Check this out. CMB Tech Talks. He says, and this is why African folks did not agree with it, because we knew if it was a original holiday or not from Africa. So when people say Happy Kwanzaa to African folks, we look at you guys clueless, because it has no association with the continent, although Karinga used African type colors such as the green and the red and the black to associate it with something African. And we will have Black people who will wear African clothing around the celebration of Kwanzaa and wear their kente cloth and various things. And we'll say things like Ashe and things of that nature as we have a libation. And it really has nothing to do, and I'm just being honest here with you too, it has nothing to do with the continent. It is really an American, something that was created by someone. And after reading what we put on the screen here, it looks like there was an agenda at play here. Obviously, as Shaka was saying that he feels the conversation. I'm just going to say, I'm going to put it up here, let his voice be heard. He says, this is a stupid conversation, and reasoning is because Ron Karinga is a pig, as he says, but none of this is new. Well, Shaka, we know that none of this is new.
You know what?
Let me just say this.
Go ahead, man. Because I've said my part.
I don't want this to be, I don't want to create this into a back and forth. I just want to say this.
It won't be.
We know that Karinga is potentially an agent because it's been put out there. Didn't we just open up the show, Freeman, where I had talked about the fact that something happened in LA, and we found out that something happened to two Black Panthers who ended up dead, and then there was a back and forth battle between the US movement and the Black Panther Party in LA, and then from there were Black Panthers who never trusted him in his US movement, and this is the reason why. And this doesn't come from my opinion. This is Black Panthers who talked about this on a documentary that I looked at. They said that they saw Karinga in the US movement as intellectual revolutionaries, but they weren't physical revolutionaries, meaning they weren't willing to get their hands dirty. They weren't willing to engage the police in their effery, right? They weren't about that life as we call it today. They were just called intellectual revolutionaries. They were just intellectually you to death about the issues, but they weren't willing to put no skin in the game. So that's why a lot of Black folks didn't trust Ron Karinga, whatever the hell we want to
Sure.
call him. They didn't trust him.
Sure.
So when Shaka says it's a stupid conversation, it ain't a stupid conversation. You know why, dear brother? Because there might be black people looking at this broadcast or will look at it on a repeat that never knew this information. So it can't be stupid when we're trying to remind people that there's something questionable about the situation, and there are probably people who never knew what we just put up here on the screen a few minutes ago, that there was an agenda that he had personally.
Brother, here's the thing.
He did. So when you look at Kwanzaa and how they intermingle it with African culture, it has nothing to do with African culture technically, and it ain't me making up these words. He said this himself. So it isn't a stupid conversation. I say this respectfully to Brother Shaka, because you may know Shaka. You may know what the real is, my dear brother, but there are black people out here that sleep in the wilderness who do not know, and they celebrate it as such. That's
right.
the point, brother. And I have nothing but respect for you. I don't want to go into a back and forth dialogue, get into a back and forth banter, any
sure.
of that.
All I want to say is, because I'm going to get up out of here, and if you continue the cast, because I know you have other things that you want to talk about, please do. I want to be able to put my granddaughter down and play with her a little bit before she goes to take her bath and go down for the night. So if the cast is still going, I have no problem with popping back in. But for people like Shaka, he's one of the main problems. His mentality is one of the main problems, because he strikes me as that brother that has a room full of books, and if he comes up, he's probably sitting in front of a library full of books. He's read a lot. He's been through a lot. Might be an educated brother from a scholastic standpoint, but it just sounds like he knows a lot. Because when you say it's a stupid conversation, and the thing is, it's stupid to you because you've known the principles, and you may have even known about that article from the Washington Post. But it's a stupid conversation to you because you already know. You're much like my 7-year-old grandson. My 7-year-old grandson thinks everything is stupid if he already knows it. And he only knows what a 7-year-old who's truly gifted. Just like my 3-year-old granddaughter, she only thinks that certain things are really cool if she doesn't know them. But once she knows them, she don't want to play with them no more. So I get where you're at, where you think the conversation is stupid, but I've already seen several people saying, thanks for the truth, thanks for this, thanks for that, because they didn't have this information. And that's what these streams do, is they give people the information where they can go build off of it somewhere else. Information man, your name is Information Man. You bring information that other people won't bring. My name is Freedman Media. I'm going to talk about Freedman things. I'll talk about other stuff, but I'm going to talk about Freedman-based things. This has directly affected American freedman culture for 57 years. So why not talk about it? But as far as Shaka goes, he sees this as a stupid conversation, stupid dialogue, and this is not new. Of course it's not new, Shaka. He said that shit in 78. He created Kwanzaa in 66. Of course it's not new. You know what should be new, though? The update of Kwanzaa principles, the update of Kwanzaa symbols. And you should be starting that, Shaka. You should be updating that, because everything is so worn out, torn out, burned out for you. Create a new Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa 2.0, Kwanzaa 21st century. Create that. Don't just dog the info because of what it is. Create something new. Brothers like you stop the movement more than anything. You've been on the opposite side, the whole cast, and I'm good with it because I like brothers like you. You keep the blood pumping in situations like this. But like I said, you can't rock my yacht, baby. My thing is this. I'm going to come with the information, and if I'm wrong, I have no problem with coming back up saying I'm dead ass wrong. I apologize. But when I'm right, I'm not going to break my damn back trying to pat myself. And see situations where you know you right on something, I think you want credit. I think you want your propers. I think you want notoriety. I don't. I checked my ego at the door in 1997, the first time I ever opened a mic on a radio station. I checked my ego. Because my voice is what it is, and a lot of people have said I've got a great voice, but I don't give a fuck. There's 100 people that have better voices than me, and I've always bowed down to anybody that's got stronger pipes than me. It ain't about an ego here, and I don't know anything compared to what you probably know, Shaw. Just by your name, you sound like you know a whole lot about blackdom. But see, the thing is, I don't care. We're not talking about blackdom. We're talking about Kwanzaa and its principles and its fallacies, and Ron Everett creating it to build a bag off of it, because that's what it really was about. It was about getting a bag. That's what it was about.
As we get ready to get to conclusion of the program today.
I'm divisive. Yeah, you're right. I am divisive. I separate myself from niggas like you.
Let's move on from all of that right now, Brother Freeman. I get your point of view. I think everybody gets your point of view. But I want to, before you go, because you had some other sliders in here, and don't get me wrong. I understand where you're coming from. And I know people are going to have different opinions, different ideologies, but the fact of the matter is, and I think it was said, there are people out there who may not know this information. So therefore, it doesn't make it stupid information or a stupid conversation, because to me, it's more dumb to assume that everybody knows this just because you know it.
Right.
Just because I know something doesn't mean that everybody else knows something. And we gotta remember, we got younger generations that are coming behind us. We have millennials and Z generation who may watch this and learn something that they didn't know because their own parents didn't know. So let's keep that in mind. What was the next thing you wanted people to see before we conclude today?
So the thing was, and I expedited that because I really didn't know how much time we had. Now there's 7 symbols. There's 7 symbols, and the first symbol is Mazeo. And is that the first one?
Is that right there? That's
no. We got to go to crops. Go to crops, Mazeo. It's on the bottom.
This right here?
No, one over to our left. Other way. Should be crops, Mazeo. M-A-Z. There we go.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. And I'm gonna start deleting some of these other ones because we ain't gonna go backwards, and then I'll get the other ones back up there. So we've got Mazeo. Mazeo symbolizes the fruits of collective planning and work, and the resulting joy, sharing, unity, Thanksgiving, a part of African harvest festivals. African.
Okay.
But he didn't build this for Africans. He built this for Americans.
And he admitted it himself.
And to demonstrate Mazeo, people place nuts, fruits, and vegetables representing work on the makeka. And the makeka is a mat, which is the next slide. And I get this. I get what he's trying to say. No, one back, the placemat. One back, there we go. The makeka, just as the fruits stand on the makeka, the present day stands on the past. The makeka symbolizes the historical and traditional foundation for people to stand on and build their lives. So basically, that is the foundation for what we stand. Once again, I get it. I get the core principles. I get the core symbols. But where he lost out at was he made it about Africa to trick us. He made it about Africa because he said that we wouldn't believe in our own holiday. Why wouldn't we believe in our own holiday? Wasn't Christmas? Wasn't Christmas an American holiday? I mean, why wouldn't we believe that we could have our own holiday separate from Christmas? And who's to say that we had to combine it or separate it from Christmas? This is where I didn't understand why it had to come right after Christmas. Why not have it run straight through the month of December, right over Christmas Day? But see, he knew collectively he wasn't going to get enough people to drop Christmas and pick this up. So what he did was he picked up Kwanzaa the day after Christmas and ran it through the new year. Dude, there's so many different ways to look at this. And I know he could say all types of shit. In the 81, I wouldn't even pick on that old man now. He'd have to tell me that that's totally plagiarized, that he didn't write that somebody else made that statement. But I'm sure the person who either took that article down or the editor of that paper, somebody's around that can verify that was Ron, what's his name? Ron Everett, that he said it.
Ron Everett.
Yeah, but I'm not here to argue that. Because then I get to acting like a nigga like Chaka. My thing is this: the facts were the facts. He said he made it and made it sound African because we wouldn't have bought into it if it sounded American. Why? Why wouldn't we? And what made him think that? See, that's agent-like behavior.
Well, and you can make an argument, brother, that black people in America were already buying into American holidays, such as you said before, Christmas, Easter, all this stuff, Thanksgiving. We've already brought into holidays that have an American twist on it already.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
yeah, and just to confirm this, yes, it has been put out there that people are under the belief that Ron Everest, as we know as Dr. Karinga, as we were told, there are people that believe that he was an agent provocateur or an agent to try to create, a distraction for us. But he said it himself, what it was really meant for, but he led us on another path by misleading us with the symbolism that he used that really had nothing to do with even, as the brother said, brother Tech Talks, that even African people are very puzzled by it themselves. Is there anything else that people need to see before?
Yep. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the stalk of corn. I'm actually just loading up a couple of the other ones. I'm gonna get them all, have them all up here in just a second. Because as soon as I get these done, I'm gonna go down because my granddaughter is actually calling me. I can hear her. So
I'm gonna end because my young one's coming by too. So
I got you. I got you.
We're gonna go right through this. And once again, everybody in the chat room, I thank you for hanging in here and watching this and being open-minded to this. Once again, I must say this again. I don't begrudge anyone who has a difference of opinion or what have you. But at the same time, just keep this in mind. There are a lot of people, again, who don't have this information. There's the younger generation. See, a lot of times when we get older and we say, hey, I already know this isn't new, you forget that there's another crop of generation of younger black people who may not have this information. So that means that information has to be ever flowing.
Right.
From generation to generation. Come on.
Right.
Go ahead, Freeman.
Okay, so this one here, the stalk of corn represents fertility and the idea that through children, the future hopes of the family are brought to life. One vabunzi, which I don't know exactly what that is, didn't do any research on it, didn't care, is placed on the mat for every child in the family. So I'm thinking that a vabunzi is maybe equivalent to a stalk of corn. So they put that on that placemat that we just saw. So I get that. I understand that these are all symbolic things that can really be brought to life as your family grows, as you start to see, fruitfulness in your family. You got grandkids, you got great grandkids. So all that, I totally get all that. And then through technology and through, here's the thing. Once you start to have grandkids, maybe you start to plant. Maybe you start to plant things because now instead of just going out getting a stalk of corn, now you plant some corn. Now you plant whatever. There's so many different things that this could have really been brought up to, but it wasn't. But let's go ahead and jump to number 4, which is the candles, if I'm not mistaken.
Here we go right here, sir.
No, one back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go.
Yep. So this is the 7 candles. Everybody's pretty aware of this. They got shirts, they got posters. Everybody sees the 7 candles. Candles are ceremonial objects that serve to symbolically recreate the sun's power as well as to provide light. There are 3 red candles, 3 green candles, and 1 black candle that are placed in the Kinara. That's pretty self-explanatory, as we see that there is another faction of people who use candles through their holiday, through the holiday season. I'm not saying that he stole the idea from them, but it's just strange that, whatever. Let's go to the Kinara because I felt like we should have had the Kinara before we had the candles. But let's go to number 5.
Before I go there, let me
go
do
ahead.
this real quick.
Go ahead.
Deborah Gunn says this. She gave me a $10 super chat. Thank you. She says, great information. I just found this obviously reason for Black Americans to use the principles daily.
Absolutely.
Right. She made the point that was very intelligent before. She said, shouldn't we be living these principles any damn way?
Right.
Another in saying that is because we're not. That's the reason why she's saying that. Because
Thank you, sister.
In some case, we're not following them.
Thank you.
Another reason for me to live without labels. Happy New Year every day. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for the super chat.
I'm just going to give you a little taste of this for about...
Thank you for the super chat. Information is power. Thank you for the super chat.
Tell the truth.
Thank you very much for the super chat. I think everybody in the chat room, as we move along here, continue on.
Let's go to
Freeman.
number 5, which holds the candles, number 5. We got to go one back. The Kanara. There we go. That's the candle holder. The Kanara represents our ancestry and the original stock from which we came. Now, when we talk about that, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I would have put the candle holder before I put the candles. Just me. That's just me. Now, you want to talk about nitpicking? Yeah, I'm nitpicking that. Before I get candles, I want to get the candle holder. Because I want to walk around with candles in my hand. Just saying. If you want, I can be an asshole with this too, info, but I'm not. The thing is, if I got candles, I need a candle holder. So I should have had that be number 4 and the candles be number 5. But that's it. Go ahead, number 6.
And I got to read here. Empress Goddess says this. Enough said. Hence the reason we're in the situation we're in now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we are in the year 2023. And as I said in the beginning of the show, are we going to continue to do the silly things that some of us, I said some, I didn't say all, that some of us may continue to be doing in the year 22? Can we not bring that into year 2023? Can we not continue the same nonsense? Here we go.
Number 6 is the Unity Cup. The 6th day of Kwanzaa, the libation ritual is performed to honor our ancestors. Every family member and guest will take a drink together as a sign of unity and remembrance. Now, I ran all over this on my cast, but I ain't even going to joke with it. But here's the thing. Do we really commit ourselves to drinking from the same cup after COVID? Do we really put ourselves in that same position? And if we do, I mean, we're also in another world with oral past viruses and diseases and different things like that. And in the time that this was created, I get it. And here's the thing. I remember doing stuff like this as a kid, like where they would let the kids drink wine during the holidays. And we drank from the adult's glass. The kids didn't get their own glass. You generally drank from the adult's glass. I get the whole symbolism of it. But, today, as we are today, we've got to be more mindful. Because hell, I'm not drinking from Willie Earl's cup, and Willie Earl ain't drinking from my cup. That's just the way it is. I mean, let's be real.
Willie,
but
Willie
the Unity
Earl,
Cup.
I like that.
No,
I gotta use that name.
The Unity Cup makes sense to a degree. It just makes sense to a degree. So I get it. And you bring families together because if you can trust one another and love one another to drink from the same cup, that brings you together as family. I totally get the ideology of it all.
And Shaka, you're right. Many of the black scholars today still call themselves, I get it, from the 60s. You're right about that, Shaka. That part, what you're saying is on point.
I'm not arguing that one bit.
To Sister Simone B is in the house. She says, hell no, hell nah.
Yeah. So the last thing is great. The last one I find, it says gifts. Now, we give gifts. If you trade gifts, exchange gifts on the 25th, this would be on the 2nd. This would be tomorrow, which our family is getting together to exchange gifts tomorrow. We're getting together because everybody hasn't been able to be in one place. Now, are we calling it Kwanzaa? No. Are we calling it Zawadi? No. But everybody's going to be able to be in the same place for the first time in the last 2 weeks. So we're going to get together and exchange gifts. Kids are more excited than the adults, I'm sure, because they still know that they got presents that they haven't opened. On the 7th day of Kwanzaa, gifts are given to encourage growth, achievement, and success. Handmade gifts are encouraged to promote self-determination, purpose, and creativity. Now, this is one thing that I can definitely say, including my lady included. She would much rather have one of the kids make a gift for her during the holiday to give to her. I mean, we're talking about crayons. We're talking about pencils and pens. She would rather have them do that than me to take them out shopping and buy something. Because anybody can go buy a gift.
I think that part of Kwanzaa, that part of it is something that we should be doing anyway.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to give your kid an educational gift, a gift that they can learn something from, rather than just some toy that they can play with and break and discard and be like, I'm not interested anymore. I think the idea of making gifts from scratch is fantastic.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Right.
I wouldn't touch that one right there. I would leave it just like it is.
I don't have a problem with it, as I didn't have a problem with most of them at their core meaning. But to know that he meant a lot of it almost in a jokingly manner.
Wow.
I mean, in a jokingly manner, that was what my problem was when they said he looked like a teenage boy had divulged his precious secret. That's a problem. That means you kind of looking kind of sheepish, like I've been fooling these niggas all this time. That's what I took that as.
Okay.
Divulge a precious secret. When I divulge a precious secret, I've got a little odd look on my face. But that's where they took it back then, because they wouldn't have wrote it. And I feel like he did it almost as a joke. That's what I felt like. Because if he didn't, then he should have clarified that years later and said, you know what? This is what I meant by that. He's had time. That was 1978. It's 2023. He's had time. But brother, I literally need to get up out of here because they hold my grandbaby's bath up.
No, it's
but
okay,
I appreciate you.
Look. I'm going to make sure that I put your information in the description of this video, but let everybody know where they can find you on social media before you get out of here. I'm trying to be
as universal as I can, folks. I am Friedman Media on YouTube. You can actually click right in at Friedman Media 1874. The 1874 stands for the birth year of my great-great-grandfather, Granville Rowry, American Friedman. I am Friedman Media on Twitter. I have a Friedman Media page. It's a landing page basically on Facebook, and I have a Friedman Media IG. And a lot of my stuff that I put through on Facebook goes over to the Friedman Media page. You know, follow my journey as I continue this plant-based journey. I'm 9 months in, no meat. Only thing that I've touched that had parents, as they say, has been shrimp. And, you know, I eat that sparingly, but everything else has been plant-based, and I feel great. And, you know, to anybody that's still eating chitlins out there, God bless you, God help you. But, you know, I had to give up that life years ago eating chitlins, but now I don't even eat any meat. So, you know, I want to welcome people on this journey because we really need to start to get our health back. And I think it's cutting out some of this disease product that we're putting in our bodies. Meat ain't what it used to be when we were growing up, Info, and you know this. And that's why we've had to cut back on a lot of stuff. I'm not telling anybody not to do anything that I haven't done, but I feel better than I've ever felt. And I'm coming up on 10 years since I had bariatric surgery, and I've kept over 200 pounds off my frame. And I felt like I needed another change. And another change was me stopping to eat meat.
Looking at you right now, and I was going to say something to you, you do look like you've lost some weight. You look slimmer in the face, and much blessed health to you.
Thank you.
I agree with you about cutting out certain things. Myself, I'm doing these sort of same things too, trying to cut certain things out of my diet, eat a little bit more healthier.
Absolutely.
Stay on top of things. We all need to be blessed with health for 2023. We all need to be blessed with health, good diet, be blessed with loving your family, caring for your family, what have you. And what I want to say to you is thank you for coming over. And I want to thank everybody out there that was at least willing, you know, to be open to hear what the brother had to say.
And I ain't got nothing against Shaka. Please understand, I ain't got nothing against Shaka.
No, Shaka's one of my mods. He's been on my show for a very
please
long time.
Please understand. I definitely have nothing against Shaka.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Shaka. And even me and Shaka have disagreed. I've done shows where Shaka has disagreed with points that I've had, and we've gone back and forth in the comment section, and he knows this. And at the end of the day, I don't have any hard feelings because we all are trying to learn together. I'm just glad that that I have the sort of audience here and people who will express themselves, and we can walk away and not take things personal. And I don't tend to have drama on this channel, and people know me for that. But I love when I do like when people have a different opinion because it adds juice to the content. So I think Shaka, in a kind of interesting way, disagreeing with some things you were saying, it did add a little, a nice drama to the show today. You know,
we need seasoning, man. We flavorful people. We need seasoning. So, we can't cook without seasoning. So Shaka just added some seasoning. That's why I said when people think I'm upset because my voice may raise or whatever, I'm just an excitable person. I'm just an excitable person.
Everybody hear what I'm saying right now, and the same thing goes for black women as well. If you notice, whenever black men speak, and you know how we are as black people, we speak with a passion. We're passionate about what we're speaking. Oftentimes, people take it as you're hostile. Black women experience this. Black men experience this. We experience this on our jobs. We experience this, excuse me, in society. Whenever a black person, whether it be a man or a woman, has a strong opinion about an issue, then next thing you know, here comes you're hostile, you're angry, you're the angry black man, you're the angry black woman. We've heard this before. And this is no knock at Shaka. I'm just saying in general, when we speak, you all have seen me get passionate up here on this mic, but you know that I mean well at the end of the day, right? So I appreciate all of you out there. This is the year 2023. I want nothing but the best for people. But I also wish that on these YouTube streets that we will see a change in what people are talking about in terms of this gender war between black men and black women that continues to rage itself all over social media.
Right.
And we're dividing ourselves. And the truth of the matter is, if we were truly following those principles of Kwanzaa, the 7 principles, or any damn principles for that matter, of what you believe in, we probably wouldn't be having these issues that we see right here on social media. And even though I personally believe that people on social media do not represent all of black society, but it is certainly a portion of it. And if we were following these principles, we definitely wouldn't be up here doing this. Yeah. I'm gonna put this to you right now. I can't think this is for everybody. I can't remember the last time I seen Japanese, Asian people, Latinos, or any other racial group that the politicians want to lump us in with the word people of color. I can't remember. I can't find any channels where they're talking about themselves the way we talk about each other as black people.
So here's the thing.
Like that.
So here's the thing.
And
you need to set up the next cast.
People on the panel to talk about their people. Go
you
ahead.
Need to set up the next cast info, and then we talk about why are we the only people that kill our own movements? Because here's the thing. I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be talking about it all year because I believe in starting at home. I'm not going to talk about how dirty your porch is if my porch ain't swept off. So I'm going to be sweeping my own porch off all year. And if you want to have a cast on that and bring me up, I have no problem.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
topic.
But the thing is, Asians, Jews, Latinos, Middle Eastern folk, Arabs, Chaldeans, whomever, they don't ever go against the code when it comes to them getting something on this territory. But we're the only people. We got to figure out what we are, who we are, what we aren't. Maybe we should include black immigrants. We should include it. When it's Asians getting something, you don't hear the Chinese saying we want more. You don't hear the Japanese saying. No,
I don't hear Native Americans, Asians, and other groups when they get a bag from this government. I've never seen a stream where you have a Asian version of someone like Umar Johnson telling Asian people,
right,
I don't need none of those reparations that the state's
we can't close on that clown because I got to bounce, man, for real. I can't get fucked up in my own house, dog. We got the info in. Hey, let's do it. Let's do it again soon, everybody. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the love. Umar just can't get too much of my breath in 23, for real.
I know, but take care, brother. Peace.
You too, bro. You too. All right now.
Well, look, I know that he had to go, but I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it. You just don't see these other groups with people in their group telling their people to deny getting a bag or that you ain't going to get this, ain't going to get that. But too often, some of our people are often telling us what we ain't going to get and what we cannot do. We cannot do that. That's self-defeation. We're doing self-defeated prophecies here. We got to stop. So with that said, thank you everybody for coming over today. I'll be live on this channel going into next week. We'll see what topic comes up along the way. Everybody, happy New Year again. Happy, and I'm going to say it again, happy 2023.
Tell the truth.
I really appreciate you all again. And we're going to make it do what we do. Share this video. I know that today was a difficult one because, there's things that were said that people may or may not agree with. are things that people say, well, I've heard this already. I get it. But I think it was an important show to have because we're going into a new year and we need to look at ourselves and examine ourselves and say, what are the principles that I'm going to follow and I'm going to live by in the year 2023 as it relates to my family, my wife, my loved ones, relationships, people that I care about. And tell someone that you care about them because, as you can see, people are passing away. And let me say again to black men out there and black women as well, you've got to have a will. You got to get life insurance. People are dying and they live and then you find out they don't have life insurance. Do you know, it came out in the wash that Coolio didn't have a will, but he had about $300,000 in his worth. So he has 7 kids and they'll have to divvy up the money between the 7 children. But he never put together a will. We have to start thinking about that in 2023. Get a will or get a life insurance policy. That falls into principles so that you have something to give your family when you're no longer here, and that things that you want to go to the certain people in your family, they get what you want them to get versus people that you don't want getting anything because they didn't give a damn about you when you were alive. So everybody, thank you. Have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your week. Happy New Year again. I'll see you around the YouTube streets. I'll see you again for some more presentation. I will be doing some work on the Information Man Speaks podcast as well. So check that out when you have a chance. I go live over there and I'll be doing something on this channel, of course, every week. So I want to thank everybody in that chat room, Keith Weston, Deborah Guns, Brian Simpson, Just Natural, Real Aaron Collins, just everybody that came over, Sir A. Jones, Golden Melanin, Shaka. We got Scam Lightly, who's in the house. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Umar is I'll say it. Umar is a complete scam artist. We got Back to the Basics. And whoever else. Rankins, thank you for coming over. Freeman Media, thank you for dropping your information in the chat. I'll put his stuff in the description of this video. And Peggy Roster. All of you that came over, anybody that I did not, Empress Goddess, thank you for coming over. Anybody that I did not shout out, I apologize. Anybody who super chatted me or anybody that might have cash at me, thank you. If I did not say your name, thank you for doing so if you did. And we're going to get back at it very soon. Everybody take care. Peace. Peace, everybody.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.